Ground Bakar. Proprietor. It's Tuesday afternoon, and we just got a little bit of a bombshell from the jury. They had a question. Well, they had a request. They want all of the testimony from Jane Doe 3 regarding the November 2001 incident to be read back. And they asked for this at the end of the day, and the judge knew it was going to take a while to get that ready, and so, we'll wait till the morning. And the more I think about it, the more I realize it's going to be a long read back tomorrow. Because they want everything regarding the November 2001 incident, including cross-examination. So just to help remind you of what this is about, Danny Masterson is facing forcible rape charges from 3 women who were all Scientologists at the time. Went by the names Jane Doe 1, Jane Doe 2, and Jane Doe 3. Jane Doe 3 is the one who was in a 6-year relationship with him that started when she was 18 years old. And she described a loveless relationship where he was very demanding for sex and she didn't want it. And she got used to getting in fights with him over it, and at times he had pulled her hair and called her names. And ultimately, in December 2001, they went to La Poubelle. She had a couple glasses of wine. She was getting up to leave, and the next thing she remembers is waking up the next day in a lot of pain. She went to the bathroom and realized that her anus was torn and bleeding. She confronted Masterson, who she says admitted he had sex with her there and laughed about it. And she asked if she was unconscious the whole time, and he said yes. So she then decided to go to the Church of Scientology, and she was referring to this as the rape. Scientology told her not to use that word, told her that you can't have a rape in a relationship, and she said she believed them, and she just, kept quiet about it for years. Finally, years later, she found out there were other. She was talking to her husband, Cedric, years later in 2011, and described it to him, and he said, "You were raped." Sometime after that, she called a rape hotline and asked them if my boyfriend had sex with me when I was unconscious and I didn't want it. Was that rape? And they had told her yes. So she finally went to the Austin Police Department in 2017, I believe, maybe it was 2016. And again, she's referring to this as the rape. So the reason this becomes really important is that at some point, while she's describing to the LAPD what happened, she also began to describe a November 2001 incident where he was on top of her and she pulled his hair to get him off of her. We heard an audio tape where she described this with Detective Reyes, the first detective on the case. And it was unclear. Some things about that were very unclear. Remember, it was Detective Reyes who said that he was trying to have sex with you in that November 2001 incident. And she kind of said, mm-hmm. And then we heard later she had an interview with Mueller, the deputy DA, and at that point it was much more explicit that he was on top of her, he was inside of her, his penis was in her vagina, she didn't want him there, she couldn't get him off, he put his full weight on her to stay on top of her, so she knew he had a thing about his face and his hair, and she pulled his hair, yanked out and pulled his head to the side. He got off her and then hit her with kind of a closed fist, open fist, whatever, and spit on her and called her white trash. That's the November 2001 incident. And what Cohen was doing, the defense attorney was doing so much in cross-examination, was saying, okay, but when you talked to your husband, you were talking about the December 2001 unconscious sodomy. Now, the reason why these things are so important.
Oh, Lord. Okay, so this is a warning that this is very explicit.
November 2001 hair pulling incident, not the December 2001 unconscious sodomy. Because under California law, you can't charge somebody for forcible rape if they were unconscious. And I know every time I bring that up, people are disgusted. It's disgusting, okay? That he cannot be charged in this case because she was unconscious. They charged him under the November 2001 incident because, according to the way she testified to it and described it to Mueller in that interview, he was on top of her. She was trying to get him off. He put his weight down on her. She finally had to pull his hair to get him off. That's the description of forcible rape. However, what Cohen did in his cross examination was to say, yeah, but when you told your husband in 2011, you were talking about the rape being the December one. When you went to Austin PD and you described the rape, you described the December 2001 unconscious sodomy. And I will remind you, I bet everyone's forgotten this, way back in a pretrial hearing, Cohen actually said he wishes all of these were unconscious drunk incidents, then they wouldn't have a case against him. He actually said that. If Danny had just been more careful to completely knock them out, they couldn't have him in court right now. Cohen said that. I've got the transcript on that. So what he's been trying to do is show anytime she thought of the rape, she was thinking of the December issue. And it was only later that the November 2001 incident came up in her discussion with Mueller, and then that's what he charged on. And if you remember in his closing arguments, he addressed this issue. Why was she talking about the December one for so long and not the November one? And he made the point that the December 2001 unconscious sodomy with her injury was so unusual. That's what made her ultimately finally go to the church. But the November 2001 hair pulling incident was something she was so used to, even though it was a forcible rape, she didn't think of it that way until many years later. That's the crux of the Jane Doe 3 case. Does the jury agree that that was a forcible rape, even if she didn't think so at the time? I can totally understand why the jury is wrestling with that. So they're going to have all the testimony about that incident read back tomorrow. It's going to take hours. And especially one of the things they asked for was they want the court reporter to go more slowly this time. Oh, are we going to spend half of tomorrow on that? We got to do. I mean, the jury's trying. You got to give them credit. They're trying. They put in another full day. They want something cleared up. So we'll be there tomorrow for that. And again, I really appreciate the responses we're getting online. I know you're watching carefully. I know you want to know what's happening. I'm doing my best. When that started to happen this afternoon, it was just really unclear what was going on, and I did not want to prematurely put out something, about what was going on. I mean, some of the journalists wondered if we had a verdict. I was like, no, I don't think so. So I'm being careful, but I know you want to be kept informed. So, wow, what an end to today. And we'll just have to slog through that readback tomorrow and hope that will be what the jury needs to finish up.
Jesus.
I think this jury still can get this verdict. I really do. And they did, they came out looking determined. They didn't have that defeated look. We saw them leave. All right. I know this is complicated. I've tried. I may have even made things more confusing for you. I apologize if I have. It's complex stuff, but
Wow. Just wow. The ugliness of it all.